Why, hello there. Hello, hello. It is good to be back. It has been a while since I've streamed, and it is time again. It is that time. There's been some more D&D playtest material released for the revamping of 5th edition that Wizards of the Coast is embarking on called One D&D. There's some new playtest material that came out today. Was first talked about kind of yesterday, revolving around what they're calling expert classes. Not gonna lie, the first time I read the title, I thought it was about prestige classes, which would be pretty cool. Unfortunately, I have a feeling I might have gotten my hopes up a bit too high. But yeah, so for this stream, we're gonna be watching a video where Todd Kendrick interviews chats about kind of the overview of this Unearthed Arcana drop. Interviews Jeremy Crawford and asks him some questions. We're going to be watching that, kind of getting like a little bit of a groundswell of thoughts about it, and then we'll dive straight into the PDF and kind of see what's what, see they were, what they have put out into the playtesting world. So, without further ado, let's get going. I've been mostly playing F1 Manager. Some of my overlays were not properly set up for videos. But this scene should be pretty good. This is on the official Dungeons & Dragons YouTube channel. Overview, Unearthed Arcana Expert Classes.
Hello everyone, we have a brand new Unearthed Arcana. We have classes, subclasses, we have feats, conditions, we have new rules having to do with skill checks and attack rolls, as well as how a critical hit functions. So let's just delve in right now and have an overview of all of that.
This Unearthed Arcana is filled with things I can't wait for people to playtest. We're playing testing them internally here at Wizards.
Jeremy Crawford.
And leading the pack in this playtest for the classes are the Ranger, the Bard, and the Rogue. People are going to see in the next few months.
Okay, Ranger, Bard, and Rogue. Fine. I don't know why they called these the expert classes, but we'll figure that out in a bit, I guess.
All of the classes from the 2014 Player's Handbook are going to appear in Unearthed Arcana so that people can read them, give feedback, play test them. Following after that, you're going to see a series of Unearthed Arcanas that also unveil new versions of subclasses, as well as some brand new subclasses for those classes. The total number of subclasses when all is said and done, 48. So we have all.
Okay, 48 subclasses. Assuming that they're going with the current, which is what, 12 classes? That leads you to about 4 each. Okay. Obviously, it's like a bit of a shrink down from what we currently have access to with all of the supplements and materials, but that's kind of to be expected. The new Player's Handbook shouldn't be at the exact same spot as where we are right now.
A lot of fun things ahead of us.
Okay.
To try.
Actually, while we're at this, let's just immediately go and take a look at what the current classes are and make sure that my number of 12 is right. Yeah, so 12 from the Player's Handbook, 1 Artificer came afterwards. I guess Artificer isn't going to be in the new Player's Handbook either. Mildly disappointing, but if we're staying at a pretty average number of 48, I guess you could have like some of them be 3, some of them be lower. I guess they haven't actually confirmed how many classes in total. But I have a feeling that since they did 3 this time, they'll do 4 sets of 3 each. These are the experts, so it'll probably be like a martial, a divine, and an arcane. Maybe after. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what's coming. Let's continue with this video.
Try out. But today, we're focused on our friends, the Bard, the Ranger, and the Rogue, along with, as you mentioned, a bunch of feats, because each of these classes,
Yay, feats.
like all of the classes in the game, has the option at certain levels of taking feat.
I love the new feat system. So far that's been my favorite thing. Just making feats more a part of character design. Amazing. If you want to, you can go back and watch my impressions of the first playtest over on our YouTube channel for the D&D campaign that I run called Alcove D&D. Uh, Search for Alcove D&D on Twitter or on YouTube, and you can find the WOD of the previous stream on there.
Feats, including the new ability score improvement feat, which many fans rightly predicted is what was going to be coming. And sure enough, when you reach any of the levels that in the past where you would have gotten the ability score improvement feature, now you have the option of taking the ability score improvement feat, does exactly the same thing as the ability score improvement feature in the 2014 Player's Handbook, or you can take another feat of your choice if your group is deciding to go be.
Yeah, that's just good design. You don't force people to pick between a feat and something else. You just roll that something else into a feat. Good change.
Beyond the ability score improvement feat and the first level feat that you're getting from your background in the previous Unearthed Arcana. This UA also includes the Arcane, Divine, and Primal spell lists all the way up to level 9.
Ooh.
And it includes a rules glossary that is filled with even more treasures than the previous one.
More treasures or more pitfalls? Because last time's rules glossary was where some of the most contentious stuff was hidden. So that's going to be an interesting thing to read through.
And here I want to pause a little bit and talk about how do you use these Unearthed Arcanas together? Because now that we have 2 out as a part of the One D&D playtest, we would love for people to play using material from multiple One D&D Unearthed Arcanas. The one main thing to keep in mind as people playtest is that the rules glossary of each UA supersedes the rules glossaries of any previous One D&D UAs.
Okay.
So we'd love for you to take the character origin options from the previous UA, combine them with the classes and feats in this UA, but use only the rules glossary from the new Unearthed Arcana. Right. Because over the course of the next year and a half, we're going to try out different versions of core rules and then see what people think.
Who knows? Maybe they might have fixed some of the problems that I had with the last core rules glossary. That'll be interesting to just compare between the two. There's going to be a lot of side-by-side PDF browsing here today.
Think of those different versions. A great example of this is how we're handling critical hits.
Yes.
So you and I, in our video last time, talked about the fact that the previous Unearthed Arcana had a rule that we knew was very experimental,
Right.
and had a good chance of not being what the community was going to cheer for, but we were interested in seeing what do people think, because there was some angles to that rule that we were fascinated in seeing how can this serve the game. We've already seen some of the responses, and you're going to see this time that for the current version of the playtest, we are using the critical hit rule as it exists in the 2014 Player's Handbook.
Interesting.
So again, make sure if you're playtesting and everyone else is playtesting, read the new rules glossary, where you'll also see that we are experimenting with different rules this time around for the D20 test. This time we don't have the universal rule of a 20 always succeeding and a 1 always failing. Instead, we are playing around with some other approaches. Although there, you're also going to find a familiar friend in that we're largely using the 2014 version of the rule, with the catch that this time we're testing rolling a 1 on a d20 giving you inspiration.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yes.
Because we basically have 3 different modes we are looking at for getting inspiration in play. Last time we asked everyone to try out getting it when you roll a 20. This time we're asking you to try it out when you roll a 1.
Weird. I just heard myself, so maybe I have my stream open on one of these windows. I don't hear myself anymore. Regardless. Good change. That's what I was talking about, and that's kind of what I suggested in my previous video. I actually really like this. Giving inspiration on natural ones is great. That's an excellent change.
We also, in the previous Unearthed Arcana, had another mode in the human of getting inspiration when you finish a long rest. We've actually considered having that as a potential rule for everybody, but right now we want to try out the roll a 1 rule for everybody, and then humans have the special feature of getting it at the end of a long rest.
So far, most of the feedback that I provided in the sort of like survey that they did after the first round, honestly, it seems like they took a lot of it to heart. So good on you, Wizards.
Now, speaking of humans and the other content in the previous Unearthed Arcana, the survey for that UA is still open, and the response has been tremendous. As of today, over 40,000 people have completed the survey. We'll see how many more people have completed it by the time the survey closes next week. We are then going to go into our investigation of what has everyone said about the different options that were in that UA. We will look at all of the satisfaction scores. And then in a future video, you and I will get together and we'll talk about what did people say, and then at a future point in this journey.
So they haven't even looked at the surveys yet.
Present a new version of that
Right.
Unearthed Arcana, incorporating.
They're already making the right
feedback.
decisions.
That's going to be the cycle that we're all in together during this long playtest. Just like we did in D&D Next, we're going to present something.
Yep.
We're going to get the feedback back. We'll analyze it. We'll do a new version incorporating feedback, and then we'll get feedback on that new version until, in a few years' time, the game coalesces into the new core books.
We're also going to have several videos all about this Unearthed Arcana that will go a little bit more in depth. It is important to remember, like, we have had a record-breaking amount of people download.
Yeah, I'm not going to watch all of the rest of the videos. I'm just going to watch this one so that we get a good kind of wrap around what their goal with this document is, and then we're going to just dive straight into some document analysis or PDF analysis.
Playtest. We are very excited, and if you're watching this video, please remember, like, we appreciate all the comments on YouTube and other social networks, but what will really help us in the end is if you download the playtest and then take the survey that comes out and leave your feedback. That is how you help us sculpt the future of D&D together.
Yeah, filling out that survey is the best way to have an impact on where this is heading. Now, in addition to responding to what we see there, we're also going to continue to do experiments. So I mentioned we are dealing with the D20 test and getting inspiration differently this time. That's just simply our design process proceeding. That's not even in response to the feedback yet because the survey is still open. So people are going to get to see not only new versions of things that we've heard from the community that they would like to see, you're also going to see new versions of things based on our own internal playtesting and also just different versions of mechanics we want to try out. This is a playtest, and part of that is testing out sometimes multiple versions of things to see which one on its own resonates most for all of us as DMs and players of this game, and then even further, which options sync up well with the other pieces of the game, because D&D is a game with hundreds, if not thousands of moving parts, and we want to make sure that if anything shifts, things are really running together in a way that's going to make people feel in the end, this game is exactly what I want it to be. So this time around, what we're asking people to look at are these classes, which also are framed in a way that is new for the current version of the game.
Let's go ahead and dig into the
Alright, so the first 10 minutes were basically them explaining that, okay, don't take any of the stuff that is playtest material to heart. We're testing a bunch of different things out. We're going to be changing things. We're going to be trying different ways of doing things. This is how you read the rules glossary, which one you use. Just a whole bunch of preamble being like, okay, we heard that there was some mixed reactions to the first one. This kind of like just tempering expectations a little bit and like letting people know about their design process, which is good. I appreciate that.
classes then. So we've got 3 of the classes here, and then we've got subclasses attached. So tell me about what's changed.
So one of the first things is that framing that is going to be new for people. And that is that these 3 classes are presented as experts. So people are going to see in this Unearthed Arcana that the 12 classes of the Player's Handbook, as well as the Artificer, who, while not in the Player's Handbook, gets mentioned in this UA, each of these classes
Okay, so they kept the artificers in mind. Good.
is now a part of a group in this playtest. The Ranger, the Rogue, and the Bard are part of what's currently called the Expert group. So hence the name of this Unearthed Arcana, the Expert classes. In future Unearthed Arcanas, you're going to see the other class groups featured. But we
Okay, why expert though? Like I can see Rangers being experts at, I guess, tracking and sneaking around and like tracking people, fighting. But then their magical abilities just don't make much sense. And bards are experts at what exactly? Performance? Singing?
wanted to start with the experts.
Don't
Now,
get
this
the
new
name.
concept of class group, new for the current version of the game, is something that has appeared in D&D's history at various times, going all the way back to even the second edition Player's Handbook grouped classes in a similar way. The big question is here, what do these groups mean? The main thing that they do for us is provide a way to deliver groups of classes certain elements of the game collectively. So you're going to see in this very Unearthed Arcana, some of the feats, for instance, have certain class groups as prerequisites. You'll see a feat where it says you maybe need to be a member of the Expert or the Warrior group to take this feat.
Expert
What
warrior.
that does is it allows us to serve up
Sure.
options to multiple classes simultaneously, and also
Don't know what
serve
other group could be.
classes like the Artificer that might not be in the same book as the 12 classes that are in the Player's Handbook. Because since we indicate here in this UA that the Artificer counts as an expert, that means anything that members of that group qualify for, the Artificer qualifies for.
Okay.
And if we were ever to make a new class and put it into one of these groups, then suddenly it is able to tap into the shared tech of that group. You're going to see this in the next year or so, where you'll see magic items that, rather than having a particular class or a particular feature as a prereq, will have one of these groups or multiple groups
Interesting.
as a prerequisite. You're also going to see that in many cases, while the classes have retained their distinctiveness and their delightful asymmetry, where they work in the ways that are most appropriate for those individual classes, you're going to see more common pieces. So one example of that in this current Unearthed Arcana is all 3 of the expert classes have the expertise feature. The expertise feature is the signature feature of experts. And so that means even the Ranger now has it. The Bard and
good.
the Rogue already had it in the 2014 Player's Handbook, Well, now the ranger gets it too, because one of the aspects of the ranger's class fantasy is being the best in a group, particularly at things like survival, stealth, so that the ranger can be fantastic at what is iconic for them.
Right.
And expertise is one of the ways that we do that. Another thing that the experts all have in common is that they are polymaths. They like to have pieces within their classes that are reminiscent of things in other groups. So it is by design that all three of the experts have components within them that are reminiscent of things that you might see in the warrior group, the mage group, the priest group, but here mixed
Interesting.
together in
Okay.
a way that is unique to each of the expert classes. Now we can dive in to each of the classes individually and their subclasses, but that overview I think is exciting because it shows that we're not only thinking now of the classes as individuals and also then as a whole family, but then also in these subgroups, and we can leverage these groups in a variety of ways that I think are going to be really fun, not only in terms of the options that we'll be able to give people, but even when it comes to party building. Something we note in this current article is that when you're building a party now, if you want to create sort of a classic balanced D&D party, one way you can do that is make sure you have a member in your group from each of the class groups. Also, something that
That's good.
people are going to see in both the Ranger and the Bard in this Unearthed Arcana is a list of suggested prepared spells. One thing that we have seen over the last 8 years very clearly is that sometimes playing a spellcaster can be a little daunting.
Right.
And so what we've
That's
done
true.
to make it a bit easier to ease into playing a spellcasting class that you've never played before is we provide from level 1 all the way up to level 20 a set of suggested prepared spells for the class. So again, you're going to see that here in the Bard, you're going to see
Yeah,
it
that's
in the
just a
Ranger,
good change.
and in future Unearthed Arcanas, when we get to other spellcasting classes, you're going to see it in them as well, where we take some of the most iconic spell options and put them on a list so that, again, whether you're a new player or a veteran who may be just like, I don't feel like making a choice, please, D&D book, tell me, you can go to that class, look at the suggested list of prepared spells, and just start with that. You still have, of course, the option every time you finish a long rest to change that list, but it gives you a nice starting point so that you maybe don't have to do quite as much homework when you decide to dive into a spellcasting class that's new for you.
So ritual spellcasting has changed, or rather people have more access to it now?
Yes, so one of the many goodies in the rules glossary is the simple but important note that we are playtesting currently that basically if you can cast a spell and it has the ritual tag, you have the option of casting it as a ritual. In the past, a character had to have a feature that specifically unlocked rituals for them, and we've decided to experiment instead with just the ability of, again, if you can cast the spell and it has the ritual tag, you have the option of casting it as a ritual and just have that turned on for spellcasters of all sorts.
And all the classes eventually get, and we didn't touch upon this, also can get access to epic feats or epic boons.
That is right. Now, every class, what was previously their 20th level feature,
Right.
they now get at 18th level. And instead, now at 20th level, those epic boons that are in the 2014 Dungeon Master's Guide, you now get one when you hit 20th level. Now, we have a suggested one for each class, but when you hit 20th level, you now get to pick. And those epic boons have been reimagined as feats, and many of them are also available in this Unearthed Arcana.
That's awesome.
So, lots of changes, lots of things to go over. Uh, that gives us a little bit of a nice overview in terms of what's in the doc. Now let's dive into the actual doc. Let's also, while we're here, open up a couple of things. So they said there would be bards, there would be rangers, there would be rogues. Open up these, have them available for us to look at. And then also they said something about the old rules glossary, and I wanted to have that open as well, so that we can compare between the two. Alright. So, this document is 37 pages. Okay, this might take a while. And there's a second in a series of Unearthed Arcana. Material used here. So, the rules in the player's handbook, except for noted. Providing feedback, sure. 3 classes appear in this document, each one a member of the expert group. The Bard, the Ranger, and the Rogue. Feats follow the class descriptions, particularly feats available to the classes in this document. Then there's the spell lists. The Ranger uses the primal list, and the Bard potentially uses all 3 thanks to the magical secrets feature. Yeah, there probably won't be much of a description of spells to see if any of the spells themselves has been changed, so the spell list is pretty much kind of pointless. Unless we potentially want to go over whether any spell has been moved up or down in level. And then the rules glossary. This is where all the good stuff was hidden last time around. So we'll see what's in this one. How to play this material, sure. Your campaign, run one of our special playtest sessions. I think once we have more of these playtest materials, I will probably be looking to see if I can get together with my D&D group over on Alcove D&D and running maybe a one-shot or something using just the playtest material. I think that could be something pretty fun. Alright. Power level. Sure. Adjust its power, so don't worry too much about the power level. Feedback. And then what's ahead? There's going to be revised versions of every class. 48 subclasses, including the subclasses in this article. New and revised spells, new and revised feats, new weapon options for certain classes. A new system for creating a home base for your characters. That being in the player's handbook is pretty cool. Revised encounter building rules, and then new and revised monsters. Okay. Parts of a class. Each class contains the rules elements described below. Characters who have levels in a class are exceptional. Most of the inhabitants of the multiverse aren't members of a class. Okay. Primary ability. So that's just the ability score. Sure. Each class is a member of a class group. A set of classes that have certain features and themes in common. The class groups table lists the groups and summarizes characteristics of members of the groups have in common. So you've got experts, which are bard, ranger, rogue. There are polymaths who have the expertise feature and elements of other classes. Then there's mages, which is sorcerer, wizard, warlock, arcane magic. They're focused on utility and destruction. Priests, which is cleric, druid, paladin, focusing on healing, utility, and defense. And then warriors, barbarian, fighter, monk. The artificer is also an expert. Class appears in Tasha's and Eberron, not the player's handbook. The warriors are masters of combat who can deal in your many wounds. Priests are utility, healing, defense, and then offensive casters. Okay, sure. This seems very similar to old school D&D, basically. Class group has no rule in itself, but the prerequisites and other rules can refer to these groups. For example, only members of the mage group might be able to attune to a particular magic item, or a feat might be available only to members of the warrior group. Okay? And then what they were talking about in terms of balance, making a balanced, well-rounded party, have at least one member of each class group. Good. Creating a member of the class. Okay, class description includes a section on how to create a member. Class features. Each class grants special features at certain levels. Okay, subclasses. Yada yada yada. When playtesting a new version of a class, you can use a subclass from an older source. The older subclass offers features at levels that are different from the subclass levels in the class. Follow the older subclass's progression. Okay. 3 class highlights. Here are 3 highlights in this article's classes. All 3 classes have new features, as well as revised versions of old features. When a class offers a decision, suggested choice is usually presented, especially at lower levels. Okay. Makes it easier to create characters quickly. Each class's old 20th level feature has moved to 18th level, opening up 20th level for epic boons. Okay. So, Bard. Class group expert, primary ability charisma. Cool. Uh, Lore stuff, description of class. All right. Table. First thing that we're going to be comparing side by side. So we got this table. And then we got this table. I don't know how it's possible for me to... Hold on. I need to figure out a way to make this work with multiple windows. So that I can have both of these open side by side. Let's do that. So we got this one, and got this one. Pull this one out over here. Collapse the page browser on this side. Move this description thing over to here. We'll take another window capture. Okay. Weird. Let's change this one then to the this will kind of sort of have to work for now. I can't figure out a way to collapse this window. But this will let us look at current content side by side with old content. Alright, so Bardic Dive is its own thing now. It stays D6 until 5th level, turned into D8 until 10th level, turned into D10 until 14th level, turned into D12, and stays at D12 the rest of the way. Alright, all of that is still the same. We have Cantrip Zone 2, Prepared Spells 2. No more concept of spells known for bards. Interesting. Quick skimming over when the cantrips and cantrip known and stuff change. Seems about right. 10th level 4 cantrips. Spell slots per level 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 3, 2. 4, 3, 2, 4, 3, 3. Yeah, okay. So most of the stuff seems like it's staying relatively the same. 4, 3, 3, 3, 2, 1. Identical. 13th level. 2, 1. 15th level, you get 8th level. And then, yep, okay. Spell count or prepared spell count staying the same. Next up, we've got spellcasting, weapon inspiration, jack of all trades, which basically it's just probably jack of all trades is being moved down. Expertise is moving up. And then Jack of all trades is until 5th level. Interesting. Interesting. And then there's Bardic College, which is subclass. Subclass feature on level 6. There doesn't seem to be a counter charm anymore, which is good because that was kind of weird. We can skip and dive into what counter charm was exactly because I have also forgotten. Starter performance. During that time, you and any friendly creatures within 30 feet of you have advantage on saving throws against being frightened or charmed if they can hear your song. Okay. I honestly didn't realize that was a feature. Oh, it's in the optional features? No. No, it's not. Okay. Cool. I didn't know that was a thing. Anyways, cool. Most of the stuff, there's Songs of Restoration, which seems like Song of Rest. That's no longer explicitly called out that anything changes. But it seems like everything is mostly there. Everything that we would expect to be there is mostly there. Cool. Create a bard, consult the following list. You've got your hit points, so it's hit dice is still 1d8. Proficiencies in terms of saving throw, dexterity, and charisma still. Skills. Before you could choose any 3. Now they have recommended skills or any 3 of your choice. Cool. Simple weapons, 3 musical instruments of your choice. Sure. Armor training, light armor. Alright. Starting equipment. You get a dagger, an entertainer's pack, lancers of armor, musical instrument, and short sword. 18 gold left. 100 gold to spend on equipment. Cool. Multi-classing. If your group uses the multi-classing rules, here's what you need to know. In order to multi-class, you must have at least level 13 in charisma. Sure. Armor training. You get light armor training. And add all of your bard levels to the appropriate levels from other classes to determine your level spell slots as detailed in the multi-classing rules. Seems like multi-classing is just remaining the same as it is in the player's handbook, unless it's called out explicitly later. Alright. Bard class features. Bardic Inspiration. First level, you get Bardic Inspiration. Using Bardic Inspiration, you can use your Bardic Inspiration die in the following ways. When another creature within 60 feet of you that you can see or hear fails the d20 test, you can use your reaction to give the creature a Bardic Inspiration die. Interesting. So now you're no longer handing these out in advance. You're using reactions to hand them out. That sucks. Creature rolls that die and adds a number rolled to the d20, potentially turning a failure into a success. Not the biggest fan of that change so far. Alright. Heal. Immediately after another creature within 60 feet of you that you can see or hear takes damage, you can use your reaction to roll your Bardic Inspiration die and restore a number of hit points to the creature equal to the number rolled. That's good. That's really good. Because I think this was this an ability that a subclass had? Something about healing. Healing roll. Spiritual focus? No. The whispers. Interesting. I thought for sure that one of the subclasses had this, where they could use a Bardic Inspiration die in order to heal. Guess not. This is cool. Again, it means you're going to be using your reaction, which means you can literally only do this once per combat round. This also results in some sort of weird interactions where like an attack would knock you out, but instead of knocking you out, it brings you to 0 and then heals you, which is weird. I don't like using the reaction for this. Like, reactions are already pretty limited and not something that you want to be spending so freely. Not the biggest fan. But you can get anyone. Okay, so the bardic die changes. You regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest, uh, which I believe is the same. Use feature a number of times equal to your charisma modifier before, but now it's just equal to your proficiency bonus. That's good. Um, so yeah, you can't give people bardic inspiration anymore and have them use it when they want, which kind of sucks. Like, you have to use your reaction in order to do it. I'm not a big fan of it, but let's continue on. Alright, so first level spellcasting, you get prepared spells, you get to pick them yourself. Must be an arcane spell for first level spells. Arcane spell from the following schools of magic: divination, enchantment, illusion, or transmutation. Interesting. Interesting. Higher levels, you can prepare more spells. So, expertise. This is just you gain expertise, performance, and persuasion, and iconic choices. Uh, expertise, I'm pretty sure, is going to be explained later on in the glossary. You could potentially jump to it right now and see it probably just means double your proficiency bonus applied to it, because that's what it does right now. Uh, we'll stick to that for now. So, second level, Songs of Restoration. You've learned how to use music, poetry, and dance to heal wounds and maladies. When you reach certain levels, you add a specific spell to your Songs of Restoration repertoire. Shown on the Songs of Restoration repertoire. That's a difficult combination of words. You always have that spell prepared. It doesn't count against the number of spells you can prepare. Okay. So, bards are now just. They are healers. They will always have healing spells available to them. Cool. You get Healing Word, Lesser Restoration, Mass Healing Word, Freedom of Movement, and Greater Restoration. Okay. So, a lot of like quick utility heals, like healing in a pinch, bonus action type stuff. Not the big like cure wounds or mass cure wounds or any of that stuff, but good spells to have access to, just that you don't have to prepare at all. I like it. I like it. Uh, Bard subclass. All right, so the College of Lore is the one that's going to be included in here. Other subclasses will appear in future Unearthed Arcana. Fourth level, you get feat. Fifth level, Jack of all trades, so you can add half your proficiency bonus to any. Let's just take a look at the class features, Jack of all trades. Yeah, half your proficiency bonus to any ability check that makes that you make that uses a skill proficiency you lack and doesn't otherwise use your proficiency bonus. All right. So if you're not proficient in something, you still get half of your proficiency bonus. Cool. Subclass feature, Font of Bardic Inspiration. You now regain all of your expended uses of Bardic Inspiration when you finish a short rest, which is before that used to be on 5th level. Now that's on 7th level, which is higher than I would like that to be on. But Jack of all trades used to be 2nd level, and now it's 5th level. So what got moved up? The Songs of Restoration is new, but I would think that just replaces Song of Rest, because that's not a thing anymore. What got moved up? Expertise, I guess, got moved up. Expertise used to come at level 10. Why does this still say 3rd level? What? What? Okay. Oh, expertise starts at level 3. Okay, so expertise didn't move up either then. Expertise used to be at level 3. Now it's at level 2. Jack of all trades. moved down. Everything seems to have moved down. Seems like level 1 through 3 have had a lot of stuff, or level 1 through 5 has gotten stretched out more through to like 1 through to 8. Okay. So second level you get expertise in 2 skills, and then 8th level another feat, and then at 9th level you get an expertise in 2 more skills. Then you've got magical secrets at 11th level, which used to be at 10th level. Use a spell list whenever you prepare spells for this class. Up to 2 of the spells you prepare can be from the chosen list. Okay. So when you get the level, you pick where your magical secrets come from. And then after that point, you have to pick 2 spells from that list. Okay. Okay. Again, there's no concept of known spells anymore. It's all preparation based. So bards will no longer have to worry about how many spells they know, which is good. 15th level, they get further magical secrets. 18th level is superior inspiration, which used to be 20th level. Roll initiative, you regain 2 expended uses. Before it used to be you regain 1 use. So they're making the high level stuff cooler. Good. But high level, they're also like basically from 16th on to 20th. Also, why is there nothing on 17th? Is there any other level where you don't get anything? First, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 you don't get any new feature. And 17 you don't get any new feature. I wonder why. 13 you get access to 7th level spells, and 17 you get access to 9th level spells. So maybe they're just like there's too much complicated stuff that you have to worry about anyway with picking your spells. You don't need another new feature. Okay. And then there's the Epic Boon of Luck feat or another Epic Boon feat of your choice. Right, and then there's some of these recommended spells in terms of what you can have. A spell marked with a dagger is always prepared and can't be replaced when you prepare spells. Okay. So this is just kind of giving you a spell list of like, if you are a X level bard, these are some spells that you might consider preparing. Okay, sure. Bard subclasses, so College of Lore. Third level, you get bonus proficiencies. So 3 skill proficiencies: Arcana, History, and Nature. You already have one of these. Choose a skill proficiency you lack. Gain that proficiency. Also at third level, you get Cutting Words, which means when a creature that you can see within 60 feet of you makes and succeeds on an ability check or an attack roll, you can use your reaction to expend one of your uses of Bardic Inspiration, rolling a Bardic Inspiration die and subtracting the number from the creature's roll, potentially turning it into a failure. No longer any effects in terms of whether the creature is immune if it can't hear you. Okay. So additional magic secrets, which used to be a College of Lore thing, that just becomes everybody thing. So instead, you've got Cunning Inspiration. Through your studies and your cunning, you learn to inspire others exceptionally well. When any creature rolls your Bardic Inspiration die, that creature can roll the die twice and use the higher of the 2 rolls. Good. Excellent. Love that. That's awesome. Improved Cutting Words. Whenever you use your Cutting Words feature, you can deal psychic damage to that creature equal to the number rolled on the Bardic Inspiration die. Pretty sure this was a thing, wasn't it? Like, it might not be as part of College of Lore, but I feel like this would be ported over from another subclass. And on 14th level, you have Peerless Skill. When you make an ability check and fail, you can spend 1 use of Bardic Inspiration. Roll the Bardic Inspiration die and add the roll to the ability check. Alright. Check still fails. the Bardic Inspiration isn't expended. Oh. So as long as you have a free Bardic Inspiration die, you can always just add it to your roll if you want to make it succeed. Even if it fails, you don't use it up. Okay. Okay. So far, I like some of the changes. I dislike some other changes. The Songs of Restoration is cool. It means that bards basically always have some healing spells available. Um, it does kind of start to move bards into more of that sort of healery role, which they didn't previously have. There's a lot more emphasis on sort of these spells now, with magical secrets and further magical secrets just becoming baseline bard things. Uh, Also, I feel like there's more feats and like ability score improvements now than there used to be. Because before it was 4th level, 8th level, 12th level, 16th level, 19th level, and now there's a new feat on 4, 8, 12, 16. Oh no, it's still every level. I don't know why everything feels more spread out. Maybe it's because there are more things now. Like the subclass features, there's definitely more than there used to be. Because before you would get one at 3rd, you'd get one at 6th, which was kind of pointless, and then 14th. Whereas now you get a 3rd, 6th, 10th, and 14th. Which is good, and it means subclasses will have a little bit more potential of being different from each other. I do really like some of these higher level things, but the change to make inspiration something that you as a bard have to reactively do, like spend a reaction to do, that sucks. There's no other way to put it. And it sucks. Like out of combat it doesn't matter, but in combat you can't like set up by like giving people bardic inspiration in advance. Like it was already a pretty interesting resource battle in terms of like I can hand out a bunch of this bardic inspiration, or I can save some in order to use it for cutting words, or I can save some to use it for the new heal thing, which I actually really like baking into your bardic inspiration that you can spend it at any point in time when somebody takes damage to heal them. That's a really nice heal. It basically means like if you have your reaction open and somebody around you dies and you have bardic inspiration, you can bring them back up without even needing to send a spell slot. That's cool. But it means that you can't proactively give people bardic inspiration and have them use it. Or decide when to use it. Which I guess kind of also means that people won't just have bardic inspiration and forget to use it. I can see the positives and the negatives of this change. It definitely is a bigger change than you would expect, personally. But I like it. I like parts of it. We'll really have to play with it and see how it feels when people play with it. Cool. Moving on, we've got Ranger. Another expert. Primary ability is Dexterity and Wisdom. Lore. D10 hit die, still the same. Proficiencies in Strength and Dexterity saving throws. Skills. Choose 3 from Animal Handling, Athletics, Insight, Investigation, Nature, Perception, Stealth, and Survival. So still the same. Uh, cool. They get expertise at 1st level, whereas bards don't. They also get spellcasting at 1st level. What is that sorcery? Interesting. So the spellcasting remains the same in terms of their spells known. They still only go up to 5th level spells. they get feats at 4, 8, 12, 16, 19, same as the others. Starting off, they get favorite enemy and expertise, not natural explorer, which was kind of weird anyway. A bunch of these seem new. There's things here that I don't recall ever hearing or reading before. Um, like Tireless or Nature's Veil. Don't see either of those on this list on the left. Interesting. Well, let's dive right in. Let's see what we got. Gold wise, 150 gold. Multi-classing in the Ranger. Again, not going to focus too much on multi-classing unless it turns up again in the rules glossary at the bottom. The Ranger, you get the following class features. First level, you get expertise. It tells you a recommendation of some skills to do. First level, favorite enemy. You are adept at focusing your eye on a single foe. You always have the Hunter's Mark spell prepared. It doesn't count against the number of spells you can prepare. Good. Moreover, you don't have to concentrate on the spell once you cast it. It lasts for its full duration until you end it as a bonus action or until you are incapacitated. That's cool. That's really cool. Hunter's Mark with a concentration spell. Again, goes to show you how much I know about being a player and casting spells. It was a concentration spell. Concentration up to an hour. Now you don't need to concentrate on it. Brilliant. So all of the stuff that I used to do before about tracking things down, tracking people down, learning their languages, blah blah blah, all of that stuff is gone. Now it's just you have Hunter's Mark. You can cast Hunter's Mark whenever. You are just adept at focusing your eye on a single foe. Excellent. Mechanically speaking, a first level character having access to this is amazing. Alright. So, spellcasting. Sure, it recommends you some spells to prepare. At higher levels, you can prepare more spells. Wisdom is your spellcasting modifier. Druidic focus is your focus. Second level, fighting style. On your martial prowess, you can pick one of the following fighting style feats. Interesting. So you've got feats now that are these fighting styles that anybody can potentially take, probably from the warrior feat. Whenever you gain a feat at later levels, fighting style feats are among your options, even though you aren't a member of the warrior group. Okay. We will compare what those feats are later. Third level is your subclass. You've got the ranger in here, that's fine. Fourth level feat. Fifth level, you get extra attack. Is that when we get extra attack right now? Yes, it is. Subclass feature, 7th level, roving. Your speed increases by 10 feet while you aren't wearing heavy armor. You also have a climb speed and a swim speed equal to your speed. Okay. That's the new feat, I'm pretty sure. Pretty sure they didn't have that additional movement speed before. But that's nice. That's nice. 8th level, another feat. 9th level, expertise and 2 more skills. Subclass feature, 11th level, tireless. Primal Force can now help fuel you on your journey, granting you the following benefits. Whenever you finish a short rest or a long rest, you can give yourself a number of temporary hit points equal to 1d8 plus your proficiency bonus. Okay. Decrease exhaustion. If you're exhausted, when you finish a short rest, your level of exhaustion decreases by 1? Holy shit. Okay, Rangers are getting a glow up right now. Or, well, yeah. Wow. Okay. Awesome. Feet. Nature's Veil. You invoke Spirits of Nature to magically hide yourself from view. As a bonus action, you can expend a spell slot and become invisible until your next turn. is this similar to Vanish, I guess? The combination almost of like Vanish and Hide in Plain Sight, but you don't have to use an action. Like, what is this? This is pretty good. Instead of using the hide action as a bonus action, you basically just become invisible as a bonus action for 1 turn. Okay. Subclass feature Feral Senses, Blind Sight with the range of 30 feet, um, which basically is just a better version of the 18th level Feral Senses. When you attack a creature you can't see, your ability to see it doesn't impose disadvantage on your attack rolls against it. And you're also aware of any location. Yeah, that's basically just Blind Sight. Okay. And then Foe Slayer, which basically makes your Hunter's Mark now deal an extra 1d10 rather than a 1d6. Whereas before it used to just be add your Wisdom modifier to the attack roll or the damage roll against one of your favorite enemies. Okay. Is Hunter's Mark skilled right now at all? Hunter's Mark. Not Hunter Shark. Hunter's Mark. Cast a spell. Okay, so it's just duration. Okay. That's not incredible then. Right? Like if my 18th level basically just means on average I deal 2 more damage per shot, that's not incredible. That's kind of disappointing. But everything else here is so good. Like getting access to Hunter's Mark early on is so good. Nature's Veil is so good. The level 18, like the major, like end of the line sort of like perk that you get being kind of lame. Because like before at 20th level, you would get your wisdom modifier added to it, and with your wisdom modifier by like level 20 should be at least a +3 or a +4, right? And it would be consistent. But I guess that would be against one attack that you're able to add that to. Whereas this is on every attack. But with extra attack, you're still only getting 2 attacks. So on average, it's like, what, 4 additional damage? Maybe 5? If this was maybe a D12 instead of a D6, I think that would be better. Um, but otherwise, very cool. Very, very, very cool. Alright, so bunch of recommended spells and then subclasses. So you've got the Hunter subclass. At 3rd level, you got Hunter's Prey. Your tenacity can wear down even the most resilient foes. When you hit a creature with a weapon on your turn, the weapon or unarmed strike deals an extra 1d8 to the target if it's missing any of its hit points. You can deal this extra damage only once per turn. Right? So this is basically, I think they just took Colossus Slayer as like the default one that you just get now, instead of giving you a choice between Giant Killer and Hornbreaker. Uh, cool. 6th level, you get Hunter's Lore. Reveal certain strengths and weaknesses of your prey. While a creature is marked by your Hunter's Mark, you know whether that creature has any immunities, resistances, and vulnerabilities, and if the creature has any, you know what they are. Ooh, that's good. That's really good. That's really, really good. Especially with, I think there was like another rule somewhere about like moving your initiative around, right? Like the alert feat, I think it was. If you, as a ranger, have the alert feat, you can guarantee that you're going first in combat. You just immediately stick your hunter's mark on something, know what immunities, resistances, and vulnerabilities there are. That's awesome. That is really, really good. 10th level, multi-attack. You now always have Conjure Barrage prepared. It doesn't count against the number of spells you can prepare. You can also cast a spell with first and second level spell slots. When you do so, the spell's damage is reduced by 1d8 for each slot level below third. Why? Why make downcasting a thing that is now officially supported? Why not just make this into a proper thing? Because Conjure Barrage is a third level spell that you cast. When you cast it, creature takes 3d. Each creature in a 60-foot cone in front of you takes 3d8 damage on a fail save. But if you use first and second level, why? Why not just make Conjure Barrage into a first level spell? Why downcasting? Why is downcasting a thing? And why do you only get access to it at 10th level? And this is a strange way of doing it. I like the overall thing that they're going for. I would honestly probably much prefer just give them another attack. Like when you just give hunters a third attack when it's as part of the multi attack. Why is there a separate thing here called multi attack, and then there's extra attack at 5th level? Just have the 10th level hunter thing also just be extra attack instead of this being like, oh, you always have this prepared, you have to cast it, which takes an action, so you have to like spend one action before to cast it, and then the next round you can do 1d8 damage to everything in a cone if you cast it at first level. That's not even worth it. I'm not sure I like this change. This is the only change on Ranger so far that I haven't liked, so it's not the biggest deal, but it just seems pointless to me. I don't know why anybody would use Conjure Barrage when they're at 10th level, and they can't cast it as a bonus action. Cool. And then 14th level, you have Superior Hunter's Defense. Yeah, see, so like Hunter back at 11th level, they had this multi-attack feat, which was you can use your action to make a ranged attack against any number of creatures within 10 feet of a point you can see, or whirlwind attack. Also, Conjure Barrage does work with any weapon, so it's like, oh, maybe it's just because like the bow thing. I don't know. That's weird. And then Spirit Hunter's Defense, when you are hit by an attack roll, you can use your reaction to have the attack's damage against yourself. Or you can redirect the other you can redirect the other half of the damage to one creature other than the attacker that you can see within 5 feet of yourself. Okay. Interesting. So if you're fighting against one big boss, you're kinda screwed. I also am not a fan of the wording on this because have the attacks damage against yourselves, and you can redirect the other half, which technically would be the one that hasn't been halved, to one creature that you can see within 5 feet of yourself. So if you're a ranger and you're standing at range firing arrows, there's never going to be anyone within 5 feet of you. So you won't be. This is going to be a dead class feature, essentially. If you are a melee ranger, you're going to need to have another enemy or another ally near you that you could redirect this to. I guess technically you could be standing beside a caster at range, but then you'd be grouped up right in the path of a dragon breath or something, and that's not something anybody wants to have happen. I don't think this is good, but you know what? With a lot of the rest of the glow ups that they got, I'm okay with that. Their 14th level subclass feature for this one subclass not being amazing, I'm alright. I think in general, this subclass itself, like looking at the things that the subclass gives you, Hunter's lore is amazing. Hunter's lore is so good. Uh, Everything else is kind of just meh. Like Colossus Slayer at 3rd level is okay. It was just something that you already had, and you already had more choices of. Last but by no means least, we got rogues. Rogues rely on cunning, stealth, and their foes' vulnerabilities. Alright. Comparing what we've got, you got your sneak attack die. It still goes up at roughly the same pace. And we have a 10 level 20. So every 2 levels you get 1 additional d6. You start with expertise at 1st level again. Sneak attack, thieves can't. Cunning action. And then your archetype or rogue subclass. Feat, uncanny dodge. Most of this seems the same. Subclass feature gets put in here at 6th level, which rogues didn't used to get until 9th level, which is interesting. Expertise, another feat, evasion, another feat. So lots more feats happening here, which I guess was similar to how rogues got a lot of ability score improvements. They were kind of similar to a martial class in that before. Reliable talent, another feat, subtle strikes seems new. Slippery Mind was there before. Stroke of Luck was there before. Okay. So, multi-classing, blah, blah, blah. 1st level, expertise. 2 skills, expertise, easy, easy. Sneak attack. You now know how to turn a subtle attack into a deadly one. Once on each of their turns, when you take the attack action, you can deal extra damage to one creature you hit with an attack roll. If you're attacking with a finesse weapon or a ranged weapon. So, okay. And if at least one of the following requirements is met. A, you have advantage on the attack roll. Okay. B, there's an ally adjacent to the target. At least one of your allies is within 5 feet of the target. The ally isn't incapacitated, and you don't have disadvantage on the attack roll. Okay. To determine the... Okay, so one of the things that is interesting, once on each of your turns, when you take the attack action, so no more sneak attack on reactions or attack of opportunities. Okay. To determine the extra damage, roll a number of d6s equal to half your rogue level. Okay, that's fine. The rest of this seems about the same, so still good. Thieves can't. You don't thieves can't. Got it. Just another language. 2nd level, you get cunning action. Quick thinking and agility allow you to move and act quickly. On your turn, you can take one of the following actions as a bonus action: dash, disengage, or hide. So, same as it is right now. 3rd level, you get rogue subclass. 4th level, you get feat. 5th level, uncanny dodge. When an attacker that you can see hits you with an attack roll, take the reaction to have the attack damage against you. Okay, today I learned you can't use uncanny dodge on things like spell damage, but okay, good to know. Another subclass feature: expertise and 2 more skills. Another feat, evasion. Anything change in evasion? You're subjected to an effect that allows you to make a dexterity saving throw to take only half damage. You instead take no damage if you succeed and half damage if you fail. Alright. Can't use this if you're incapacitated. Feats, subclass, reliable talent. Rogues so far seem to have been not changed like at all. Subtle Strike at 13th level. When you attack, you know how to exploit a target's distraction. You have advantage on any attack roll that targets a creature that is within 5 feet of at least one of your allies who isn't incapacitated. Okay, so you're always hitting. You're always hitting that one time. Because you're always going to be trying to hit somebody with sneak attack, so you're always targeting someone within 5 feet of you, and you're going to have advantage on that roll. Cool. Why even bother rolling? Maybe to try for that crit? Hey, that's good. That's a really good change. 13th level basically just means you're going to be hitting once per turn and dealing your sneak attack damage. Subclass feature, Slippery Mind, Beat. Does Slippery Mind change at all? Proficiency in Wisdom saving throws instead just becomes proficiency in Wisdom and Charisma saving throws. Okay, good. Flat buff. Like it. Like it. 17th level Elusive. You are so evasive that attackers rarely gain the upper advantage against you. Okay, so that's just the same. No attack roll has advantage against you. No attack roll has advantage against you. 18th level is Stroke of Luck, which used to be your 20th level one. It's just if you fail a d20 test, you can turn the roll into a 20. Yep. Once you use this feature, you can't use it again until you finish a short rest or a long rest. Sweet. That's amazing. Getting that at 18th level instead of 20th means you get a massive power spike at 18th level, which is good because, no few games get up to 18th level. Very, very few games get up to 20th level. I am very happy that they're moving these down to the 18th level mark so that more people get a chance to get some of these like super endgame perks. Subclasses. Thief. Fast hands. You have the additional options for the bonus action, your cunning action, with which you can do the following. Search. Take the search action. That's the new action. Okay. Sleight of hand. Make a dexterity check to pick a lock or disarm or trap the thief's tools or to pick a pocket. Alright. So you can use your bonus action to make a dexterity sleight of hand check, use your thief's tool to disarm a trap or open a lock, or take the use an object action. So just the search thing is new. I guess everything else is kind of the same. And then second story work, you're trained to reach especially hard to reach places, granting you these benefits. You can climb speed equal to your speed. And when you take the jump action, you can make a dexterity check instead of a strength check. That's pretty much identical. Almost. 6th level Supreme Sneak. Advantage on every stealth check you make, provided you aren't wearing medium or heavy armor. That's way better than what it used to be. 10th level, use magic device. Learn how to maximize use of magic items. You can attune to up to 4 magic items at once. Nice. That's a good perk. Whenever you use a magic item that expends charges, roll a d6 on a roll of 6. You use the property without expending your charges. Also good. Also good. Use any spell scroll that bears a cantrip or a first level spell. You can also try to use any spell scroll that contains a higher level spell, but you must first succeed on an intelligence check arcana with a DC equal to. Okay, on a successful check, you cast the spell. All of this stuff is good. This is a really, really good change. It's kind of making thieves into. Moving them away from the thief in the thief game and moving them more into the thief in the Dishonored game, where they're good at making use of magical items in order to grant them perks and boons and magical abilities. I like it. 14th level Thief's Reflexes. You can now take a second bonus action on your turn, provided it is the bonus action from cunning action. You can use this feature on a number of turns equal to your proficiency bonus, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. Okay, so this was weird where before this would literally just give you 2 turns in the first turn of combat, which was weird. Basically just meant that you rolled your initiative, you got your first turn, and then at your initiative -10, you would get your second turn. It would make it kind of unpredictable as well. Now, at 14th level instead of 17th level, you just can do multiple bonus actions. And those bonus actions being, dash. You can move real fast now with this. Like a hasted level 14 thief That's a lot of ground just covered instantly. Uh, I like these changes so far. Overall, I think Rogue didn't get that many changes. So if you were familiar with playing the Rogue beforehand, you're going to be pretty familiar with it still. Not that many major groundbreaking changes, but a lot of small tweaks that make them better at a lower level than before. Still really good at low levels, still really good at high levels, but the high level, like the peak before that used to come pretty late, now moves down a little bit. Just making it more fun to play throughout the entire game. I can't wait for some of the other, like I really like some of these subclass features that they've got, but Thief was always one of the least interesting rogue subclasses. So I really like adding Use Magic Device to make it more interesting in many ways. But I'm also really, really interested in like Arcane Trickster or Assassin or uh, like Swashbuckler, Soul Knife. Like I don't even know which one of these fours you would pick. I imagine Arcane Trickster is so popular. I imagine that's got to be one. Assassin also. The fourth one, I'm not sure which one they'll go with, if they even go with four. Uh, but I'm really excited to see. Like, it seems like they're focusing more on some of the subclasses and giving more features because before, like, you can see here, sure there were like third level, ninth level, 13th level, 17th level, but these were small features. Like, none of these was even as good as the 10th level feature here of Use Magic Device. Like, I would trade all five of these for being able to attune to four and not spend charges and use spell scrolls for things for effectively free. Right? Like that's super cool. I want them to keep focusing more on kind of these subclass abilities that really delineate the classes, which kind of makes the ranger subclass not giving anything super cool aside from Hunter's lore, which is amazing. Kind of disappointing. Cool. Now we got feats. Feats. Part of a feat. Each feat has a level. Take a feat, your level must equal or exceed the feat's level. Prerequisite, you must meet any prerequisite specified in a feat to take that feat. Alright. If a feat is repeatable, you can take it more than once. Bonus feats. The DM can use bonus feats as a form of advancement after characters reach 20th level, a way to provide greater power to characters who have no more levels to gain. With this approach, each character gains one feat of their choice for every 30,000 XP the character earns above. So, okay. Ultra high level stuff, right? And at that point, honestly, it would kind of just be like you'd be trying to wrap the campaign up, honestly, and by the time you get like playing level 20 is cool. I love playing 20 at level D&D. Haven't had a chance to do it. Love watching it at least. Um, Anything after that, like if 20th level D&D carries on for too long, it becomes a little bit of overkill. Alright, feat descriptions. So, ability score improvement. Simple 4th level required feat is repeatable, no prereqs, increase 2 ability scores by 1 or 1 of them by 2. Got it. Actor. Okay, so for this, I actually do want to have some current feats available because I have a feeling these are going to be very different, and I would like to be able to compare them. Actor. Prerequisite charisma 13 plus. So this is already cool because you need to have a minimum level of charisma in order to pick this feat. Ability score will increase your charisma by 1. Impersonation when you're disguised as a fictional person or a real person, you have advantage on charisma checks to convince others. Okay. And mimicry, you can mimic the sounds of other creatures, including speech. Must listen to them for 1 minute, and then you can perform it convincingly for up to an hour. So, seemingly very similar to what we've got here, just with a minimum requirement of level 13 or of 13 charisma and 4th level. Okay. Okay. none of this specification around charisma deception anymore while trying to pass yourself off as a different person. I wonder if they just feel like that would always just be performance. Interesting. All right, what's next? Athlete. Strength, dexterity, or constitution of 13. It's not readable. You increase your strength, dexterity, or constitution by 1. Climb speed equal to your speed, so it doesn't cost you extra movement. Hop up while you're prone, you can right yourself in only 5 feet of movement. Same as this. And you have advantage on any ability check you make for the jump action, which is also another new action. Interesting. Charger. You have trained to charge headlong into battle. Proficiency with any martial weapon is required. Increase your strength or dexterity score by 1, which it didn't used to do before. Improved dash. When you take the dash action, your speed increases by 10 feet for that action. So you're moving more with your dash than you used to. And then if you move at least 10 feet in a straight line immediately before hitting on an attack, choose one of the following effects. Either gain a plus 1d8 bonus to the attack's damage roll, or push the target up to 10 feet. Okay, so now instead of it being a plus 5, and now you're not spending your bonus action anymore, it's just part of your action. Provided the target you want to push. Okay, so this is just a better version of the charger feat. I like that. They're kind of bringing some of the feats that were probably never picked more in line with the ones that were more popular. I like this part. I also like this part. I think overall this is just a better change. You got crossbow expert. Ability score increased on dexterity. So all of these are giving some form of ability score increase, which is good. I wonder if everything does that. Like, instead of getting your 2 points of ability score, all feats give you 1 point, and then other things. So crossbow expert, you ignore loading. You can fire in melee, being within 5 feet of an enemy doesn't impose disadvantage on your attack rolls with crossbows, which is good because, as you can see here in the old one, that wasn't something that was covered. It was just all range attack rolls. When you make the extra attack with the light weapon property, you can add your ability modifier to the damage of the extra attack that attacks with a crossbow that has the light property. Okay. Yeah. So you can dual wield things like crossbows or hand crossbows. Got it. Defensive duelist. You get dexterity. Requires a certain level of dexterity. So one of the really interesting things here is that, like, you could theoretically be in a position where you can't take some of these really cool feats because you don't have the particular stats that you want, which is nice. Like, it kind of encourages, like, if you are a dexterity fighter, you're more likely to be able to take defensive duelists, right? As opposed to, like, if you're like a big armored brute person, right? Like, defensive duelists might not be something that you can take, which technically you wouldn't anyway because it's focuses on finesse weapons. You're gonna need to be using dexterity, and also that's actually exactly what it used to be. So maybe that was a pointless ramble that I went on, but that's fine. Functionally, you can use your reaction to add your proficiency bonus to your armor class for that attack when you're hit by the attack. That seems pretty much the same as it used to be. Again, that's one that was taken pretty often, so I wonder if that's why I didn't see much change. Dual wielder, you can increase your strength or dexterity. When you are holding a weapon with the light property in one hand, you can treat a non-light weapon in your other hand as if it had the light property, provided that it's not a two-handed weapon. Okay. Quick draw, you can draw or stow two one-handed weapons. You normally be able to draw or stow one. Seems very much the same as it used to be. So far, these have seemed mostly the same as they used to be, aside from also providing an ASI. I'm gonna just skim through these a little bit quicker now that I know that they're mostly the same. Well, and as soon as I say that, this one's not the same at all. Advantage on death saving throws. That's good. As a bonus action, you can spend one of your hit dice, roll the die, and regain a number of hit points equal to the roll. That's good. The fact that you can use both of these and they're not just flat out like, because before it would just be like when you roll a hit die to regain hit dice, you get twice your Constitution mod. Now it just gives you more active benefits that you'll actually use outside of just short rests. Good changes. Good changes. Elemental Adept. Spellcasting you can harness a particular form of energy with deadly mastery, granting you the following benefits. So increased intelligence, wisdom, or charisma. Ooh, Elemental Adept was one of those really cool ones that actually wanted to focus on for a character build at one point in time. Because this is a really neat feature in 5e. Choose one of the following damage types: acid, cold, fire, lightning, or thunder. Spells you cast ignore resistance to damage of the chosen type. In addition, when you roll damage for a spell you cast, it deals damage, you can treat anyone. Okay, so that's the same. Alright, now there's these epic boons, and these epic boons are things that you need to be level 20 to get. You can only get them with certain prerequisites. So almost nobody is going to ever see these, but I like the fact that they exist. um, Epic boon. Let's just really quickly blaze through these. When you hit with a melee attack, you can hit instead. Or when you miss with a melee attack, you can hit instead. Cool. Dimensional travel. You can cast a Misty Step spell once without expending a spell slot. Cool. Energy resistance. You gain resistance to one of the following damage types of your choice. Whenever you finish a short or long rest, you can meditate and change it. Got it. Hit point maximum increases by 40. In addition, when you regain hit points, you regain additional hit points equal to your Constitution modifier. You can regain those additional hit points no more than once per round. That's great. That's probably one of the best 20th level feats. Irresistible offense. The damage you deal always ignores resistance. I feel like if you were level 20 and you didn't have ways to make your primary thing be able to ignore resistances, you would kind of be fucked. So, getting this epic boon is probably not something you're going to be going for. Immediately after you roll a d20, you can roll a d10 and add the number rolled to the test. Once you use this benefit, you can't use it again. That's so weak. That is so weak compared to some of the other ones. Oh, you can't use it again until you roll initiative. So you can use it once every fight. Okay. Epic Boon of the Night Spirit. While within dim light or darkness, you can become invisible as an action. You remain invisible until immediately after you take an action or a reaction. Okay. If you make a ranged attack against a target in range and miss, you can cause the attack to hit instead. Isn't that just the same as the combat prowess one? Oh, that was old melee. Use bonus action to regain a number of hit points equal to half your hit point maximum. That's amazing. In addition, you succeed on every death saving throw that isn't a roll of 1? See, this is the part that I really am confused by, because some of these epic boons suck so bad. And then you have this, which, like, so, like, a 20th level barbarian, now, not even if they are Path of the Zealot, like, any barbarian can use a bonus action once per long rest to just recover half of their massive HP pool. We're talking like barbarians can get up to like almost 280 to 300 HP at max level. Recover 150 or so of it. And then even if they do go down, somehow, They will succeed on every death saving throw, so they're not super worried about dying ever. Again, 20th level, maybe not the most important here. I just find it weird that some of these are so much better than others. But that's fine. It doesn't matter that much. Like this one. Come on, man. Like, this is so much better than some of the other ones that they've got. You gain proficiency in all skills. As opposed to once per combat, if you miss an attack, you can make it hit. Like, what are we doing? Speed increases by 30. You can't be seen or heard by any means, magical or non-magical, while you are hidden. As bonus action, you can take the disengage action, which also ends the grappled and restrained condition on you. Okay. Sure. So, fighting styles. We were talking about comparing these with the Rangers' old fighting styles. Alright. Archery. +2 bonus to attack rolls. Got it. Defense. While you're wearing armor, 1+ bonus to AC. Got it. Dueling. While you're wielding a melee weapon in one hand and no other weapons, you get a +2 bonus to damage rolls. Got it. Great weapon fighting. Ooh. Okay. Roll 1 or 2. So this is just the current great weapon fighting style, but it's now available to Rangers as well. Just through this feat instead of through the old feat, which I guess they technically could have picked anyway. And then fighting style protection. Some of these are very similar to what they used to be before, so I'm gonna skim over some of them. I did notice that sharpshooter isn't there, which is interesting. Fighting style. Oh, I guess we haven't even gotten to S yet. We're still just at F. Grappler. Where's our feats at? Where the feats go? There. Grappler. Advantage on attack rolls and this creature grappled by you. Increases your strength or dexterity. You are slowed when you move a creature grappled by you. If you hit a creature with an unarmed strike, you can deal damage to the target. Also grapple it. Great Weapon Master. So, Great Weapon Fighting meant you could roll a 1 or a 2 on damage die. You can reroll the die and must use a new roll. Okay. Great Weapon Master is immediately after you score a critical hit with a melee weapon or reduce a creature to 0 hit points, you make one additional attack with the same weapon as a bonus action. That's the same. And then when you hit a creature with a heavy weapon, you can cause the weapon to deal extra damage to the target. The extra damage equals your proficiency bonus. Okay, so there's no more of the -5 to deal +10 damage. Okay, that's good. That was way too swingy, to be honest. Heavily armored. You gain heavy armor training. Heavy armor master. You can use your heavy armor to deflect strikes. The following damage when you're hit by an attack while you're wearing heavy armor. Any bludgeoning, piercing, or slashing damage dealt to you by that attack is reduced by an amount equal to your proficiency bonus, as opposed to just 3. Good. Inspiring leader. Encouraging performance. You can do speech. When you do, choose up to 6 creatures that can hear you. Chosen creatures each gain temporary hit points equal to 2d4 plus your proficiency bonus, as opposed to your level plus your charisma modifier, which is much worse than it used to be. Keen Mind. They got rid of the part where you always know which way is north, and you always know the number of hours left, and you can accurately recall anything you've seen or heard within the past month. R.I.P. Caleb cast. So lore knowledge, if you lack proficiency in your chosen skill, you gain proficiency in it. If you have proficiency, you gain expertise. You can take the study action as a bonus action. Okay, so there's a bunch of new actions that they're adding in. This is gonna be an interesting little rules glossary, isn't it? All right, lightly armored, mage slayer. Some of these, okay, mounted combatant seems like it has changed a lot. Uh, Mage Slayer is, I think, still good. Mounted combatant means mount handler, you have advantage. And while mounted, you have advantage on attack rolls against any creature within 5 feet of your mount. And leap beside it, your mount is subjected to an effect that. And while mounted, you can use your reaction to force an attack that hits your mount to hit you instead. Okay. A lot of these are technically the same, they're just worded. Like, they added things explaining what they're doing in some ways, like they gave them names. Um, Nothing super impressive there. Quick search, you do the search action and the bonus action. Pull weapons, I'm pretty sure this is very similar to what it used to be. When you attack with a heavy and reach property, you can use a bonus action to make a melee attack with the opposite end of the weapon. Same as before. Holding a weapon that has a heavy and reach property, you can use your reaction to make one melee attack against a creature that enters the reach you have. Yep. Resilient. Saving throw proficiency with the chosen ability. Ritual caster. Just 2 first level spells. You always have those 2 spells prepared. Quick ritual. You can cast a ritual spell that you're prepared using its regular casting time rather than the extended time for a ritual. Doing so doesn't require a spell slot. Once you cast the spell this way, you can't use this benefit again until you finish your long rest. Interesting. Sentinel, one of the more popular feats. I wonder if anything changed. Increase your strength or dexterity score. Immediately after a creature within 5 feet of you takes a disengage action or hits a target other than you with an attack, you can make an opportunity attack against that creature. When you hit a creature with an opportunity attack, creature speed becomes 0 for the rest of the turn. Okay, so it still keeps the majority of what it used to be. So even if they have disengaged, you get the chance to use an opportunity attack. And then, okay, so functionally it remains the same. Sharpshooter, another popular one that we've got. We've got the attacks at long range don't impose disadvantage. Being within 5 feet doesn't impose disadvantage. And then bypass cover. No longer improves the damage that you deal. Okay. Okay. Shield Master. Skulker. Ooh, Skulker seems interesting. You make an attack roll while hidden. This was out. That was already there. See, some of these feats, like, again, not being a player, I don't know what all of these feats used to do. Like, for most of the classes and stuff, I have a general idea of what they did, but feats, there were just so many of them that I don't know all of them. So most of these I'm just going over and seeing that, like, oh, they're still exactly the same as they used to be. Uh, cool. Warcaster is a popular one, so I will look at this one. Have advantage on Constitution saving throws that you make to maintain your charisma or maintain your concentration. Sorry. React as well when a creature provokes an opportunity attack. You can use your reaction to cast a spell. Spell must have a casting time of 1 action. Must target only that creature. Yep. All right. You can perform the somatic components of spell even when you have weapons or a shield on one or both hands. Then weapon training. Sure, you learn how to use a weapon. All right. Spell list. So this is separating it out by school and by spell level and whether it's a ritual spell or not. This is a long list. I'm not going to go over all of this. Most of this seems fairly straightforward. I'm sure somebody somewhere will make a YouTube video that'll be like, these are the most surprising 10 changes to spells in One D&D's second playtest. I'm not going to make that video. I will just watch it. And now it's time for the part where I'm getting a bit prepared to get annoyed. Because that's what happened last time. I'm hopeful that this time there will not be that much stuff that is majorly changed. But we'll see. We will see. So, ability check. I'm pretty sure that a lot of this is the same as it used to be in the current 5th edition. Player's Handbook. So, DM can call for an ability check. Make an ability check. The rules. DM determines the difficulty class. You still have your different DCs. Armor training is a new name for armor proficiency. You wear light, medium, or heavy armor and lack armor training with that type of armor, you have disadvantage on any D20 test you make that involves strength or dexterity. And you can't cast spells. Okay. If you equip a shield and lack armor training with shields, you don't gain the armor class bonus of the shield. Okay. Artisan's tools. Right? That seems identical. Attack action. When you take the attack action, you can make one attack with a weapon or an unarmed strike. You can equip or unequip one weapon before or after any attack you make as part of this action, even if the attack is with an unarmed strike. Yeah. So when you make the attack action, you can also equip a weapon. Nice. Or after you make the attack, unequip it. If you move on your turn, you can use some of your movement to move between the attacks of this action if you have a feature such as extra attack that gives you more than one attack. Alright. Attack rolls one of 3 types of D20 tests. Alright. Arcane spells. Drawing the ambient spells. For partial list of arcane spells, see the spell list below. Ooh, Bark Skin has changed enough apparently to call it out over here. Interesting. What changed? Skin. Second level. Bonus action instead of an action. Cool. Concentration up to an hour. Cool. Target can assume the bark-like thing. The target gains the number of temporary hit points equal to your spellcasting ability modifier. As opposed to your AC couldn't be less than 16, regardless of what kind of armor it was wearing. Okay. I mean, it's still a bad spell. It's slightly less bad than it used to be. Still a bad spell. Blindsight, if you have blindsight, you can effectively see within a specific range without relying on physical sight. Within that range, you can effectively see anything that isn't behind total cover, even if you're blinded or in darkness. Moreover, you can effectively see a hidden or an invisible creature in that range. Got it. Climb speed can be used to move on a vertical surface without expending the extra movement normally associated with climbing. Blah, blah, blah. Creature types, D20 tests, so whenever player character rolls a 1 for a D20 test, that character gains heroic inspiration. This was a change that I mentioned and that Jeremy Crawford mentioned in that video. I like this change a lot. I actually think that it's more rewarding to be going this way. If they are going to make inspiration a bigger part of the game, I would much prefer it like this as opposed to getting like the snowball effect of rolling repeated D20s or rolling repeated 20s. Alright. Difficult terrain. Cost 1 extra foot of movement. That's still fine. This difficult terrain isn't cumulative. Based on difficult terrain for a creature of space contains any of the following. Just some random examples. Divine spells. Exhausted condition. Condition is cumulative. Each time you receive it, you gain 1 level of exhaustion. You die if your exhaustion level exceeds 10. As opposed to 5. Interesting. When you make a d20 test, you subtract your exhaustion level from the d20 roll. Okay. Okay. And your spell save DC. So now you don't have to worry about any movement speed related BS around exhaustion, which is genuinely one of the worst parts. Like as a DM of a campaign that heavily has involved exhaustion so far, uh, just as a sort of narrative mechanic built into the world. The biggest thing that I've found that exhaustion kind of starts to impact players with is the movement speed. Uh, the movement speed not being a problem that you have to deal with exhaustion anymore is actually pretty good. Um, you just slowly get worse and worse and worse at doing things and at avoiding damage, uh, which is nice. It doesn't narratively make sense that like even if you are at like 9 levels of exhaustion, you can still run around as fast and as quickly as you could before. But it also is a lot less problematic for players to deal with. So it's a change. I would be willing to test it out, and I'd be willing to try it out and see how well it plays. It also kind of explains one of the other changes that we saw up above, where um, I think Rangers could lose a level of exhaustion on a short rest, which is nice. Right, expertise, fly speed. While flying, you fall if you're incapacitated or restrained. If you have the hover trait, you can stay aloft even while incapacitated or restrained. Sure, means that grappled guidance has changed. Okay. 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 This might be a controversial one. 0 level divination spell. Divine Immortal School. Casting time as a reaction, which you take in response to you or an ally within 30 feet of you failing an ability check. You channel magical insight to the creature who failed the ability check. That creature can roll a d4 and add the number rolled to the check, eventually turning it into a success. That's actually really good. I actually really like that. It makes it much more likely that you're doing it in combat. You're using it kind of more like people actually use it, which is for everything. Uh, it makes it have a little bit more of an impact in, like, if you're trying to interact with things in combat. Like, you can just use guidance out of turn, which you couldn't before. Um, and you're also not having to like literally just do guidance after every, or like before every test, right? Um, it's just much better that you can now wait till somebody, like, if the DM says that it fails, you use your reaction, you cast guidance, and they get an extra d4. I really like this change. I might actually just honestly incorporate this change in our campaign, just because I actually think it's really elegant and it kind of resolves some of the problems that I think guidance has, as just not being a fun spell to cast. It's just like you're always worried about casting it, and then you're always worried about whether you use the d4 or not. It's a good fix. It's a good change. Alright, so help action. You can assist an ability check. You can assist an attack roll. Both of these are things that you could already do. Heroic Inspiration. You have Heroic Inspiration, also called Inspiration. You spend it to give yourself advantage. You decide to do so immediately after rolling the d20. Their character gains Heroic Inspiration, and the character rolls a 1 for a d20 test. That 1 must be used on the d20 used for the test total, not on a d20 that was re-rolled or discarded. Heroic Inspiration represents the character's resolve to do better after fumbling an attempt. Yep. 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 This is how, if I have to deal with inspiration, I like this mechanic the most. Because I think this mechanic kind of solves a problem, as opposed to kind of just shoehorning inspiration in wherever the DM feels like it, or wherever, like, in places where it doesn't make sense. This way, inspiration is actually solving a problem. Like, okay, I was trying to do something really cool, was trying to accomplish something, failed badly, at least I feel like a little bit better for it. Because at least I have inspiration to use on the next thing that I try to do. Cool. Hidden, hide, incapacitated. I think some of these conditions are actually very similar to what they were in here. Yep. So grappled, hidden wasn't actually a condition before, but now it is. So these are some changes, right? Like conditions are no longer just negative things. Positive things can be conditions too. The influence action. With the influence action, you can try to influence another creature to do something you request or demand. This action can be used only on creatures controlled by the DM, and it isn't mind control. It can't force a creature to do something that is counter to the creature's alignment, or that is otherwise repugnant to the creature. This action has three main parts: attitude, interaction, and a charisma check. The creature's attitude determines how a character can influence that creature. Each DM controlled creature has one of the following attitudes towards their characters: indifferent, which means you need a successful charisma check; friendly, which means an element they'll usually do things as long as it doesn't involve risk, effort, or cost. But if it does, maybe not. And then hostile, which means that there's pretty much no way that they can be swayed to do something that you want to influence. Okay. Interaction, when you take the influence action, either roleplay how your character interacts with the creature or describe your character's behavior, focusing on your character's request or demand. DM might grant advantage. Similarly, the interaction is particularly irksome to the creature. The DM might impose disadvantage. Ability check. Determine whether your request or demand is successful. You make a charisma check using either animal handling, deception, intimidation, or persuasion. Applicable skill depends on the interaction. Creature's attitude determines the DC required to achieve a specific response. Okay. This is weird. It's an action that honestly, like, it's like a full page to describe something that basically just means you can make a persuasion check. And the DM will decide based on what the NPC thinks of your offer and of you as a character that how they respond to it. This was a pointless waste of a page, but it is what it is. Uh, jump action. The jump action, you attempt to leap more than 5 feet. Take this action, your speed must be greater than 0, and you must make a DC 10 strength check. If you don't move at least 10 feet immediately before this action, you have disadvantage. Okay. That's fine. A light weapon property, make one extra attack as part of the same action. That extra attack must be made with a different light weapon. On the other hand, doesn't seem like much has changed there. Long rest, benefits of the rest, regain all HP, regain all hit dice. So not just up to half, all of them. Okay. If your hit point maximum was reduced, it returns to normal. So it doesn't necessarily take multiple days for any hit points that were lost by spells or by particular monsters to recover. And same thing with ability scores restored. Okay. I mean, weird a little bit in terms of like, these are some of these effects were high level magical effects that would previously require lesser restoration or greater restoration in order to recover from. Now they just recover on a long rest, but I feel like they could still get around that by just making that particular ability or like that particular monster's ability say it takes X days that this recovers over. Cool. Magic action. Uh, If you cast a spell that has a casting time of 1 minute or longer, you must take the magic action on each turn of that casting, and you must maintain concentration while you do so. If your concentration is broken, the spell fails, but you don't expend a spell slot. Okay. Okay. That's cool. So if you're like channeling a long-term casting spell and your concentration breaks, you don't lose the spell slot. That's actually a pretty nice change. When you move, you can go the distance. For example, you have a speed of 30 feet, blah blah blah, moving around other creatures. You pass through the space of an ally, and you pass through a creature, a tiny creature, or a creature who is 2 sizes larger or smaller. Another creature space of difficult terrain. Okay. Go. Climbing and swimming, special speeds, a speed of 0. Musical instrument, primal spells. Search action. When you take search action, you make a wisdom check to discern something that isn't obvious. Okay. Sure. Short sword, slowed. Study action. When you take the study action, you make an intelligence check to study your memory, a book, a creature, a clue, an object, or another source of information, or another source of knowledge, and call to mind an important piece of information about it. Areas of knowledge table suggest which skills are applicable when you take this action. Okay. Arcana, history, investigation, nature, religion. Okay. Feed, tool proficiency, teleportation. Teleportation is a special kind of magical transportation. If you teleport, you disappear and reappear elsewhere instantly without moving through the intervening space. This transportation doesn't expend movement, unless a rule tells you otherwise. Teleportation never provokes opportunity attacks. When you teleport, all the equipment you are wearing and carrying teleports with you. If you are touching another creature when you teleport, that creature doesn't teleport with you unless the teleportation effect says otherwise. Cool. Sure. Emerson's unarmed strike. Okay. So, the rules glossary this time actually is, in my mind at least, a lot less uh, controversial. There's a few things, like, there's a bunch of new actions that I feel like were already part of things that you could do, and now it's just codifying it, and it kind of is giving maybe newer players a little bit more of a guidance on like, hey, this is also something that you can potentially do with your action, right? Like in your combat, you're not just worried about like your movement and like those sort of things. You can also take the action to like interact with something or influence something or search for something, right? I like that as sort of a guidance for new players. It reminds me a little bit of like some of the Apocalypse World and like more indie RPG systems, where like you combat, for example, which is D&D's bread and butter, might not necessarily be for those games, but they have the concept of like making a move. When you make a move, it can be any of these esoteric like phrases in many ways, and each of those phrases is like a different action that you can do. So all of these actions, remember that you can do them outside of combat, and this is kind of just guidelines for newer players to be like, oh, like I didn't even consider that this was something that I could do, and I don't mind that. I feel like as a TM, none of the stuff that like if a player was like, oh, can I try and influence someone, I would still be like, oh, how are you doing that? What are some of the checks? Like, I would still take into account almost all of the things that they've laid out here as like the description of the influence action, because I feel like that's just part of what the like is being asked by the player that they want to do. I do think that some of the class changes are really good. I think all the class changes are actually really good. I think all the classes are gonna play differently than they used to, and I would be very interested in kind of trying some of these out. Uh, Especially the Ranger, because like Hunter's Mark and favorite enemy kind of favorite enemy, the change from favorite enemy to uh, Hunter's Mark is a massive change. It's really good. It means they're going to be doing a lot more damage. Um, Not the biggest fan of the 18th level perk there, but yeah, lots of changes. I feel like Bard's kind of got a little bit of a short end of the stick with the Bardic Inspiration being a reaction, but I do like that they want to give players less things to like keep track of and like potentially forget about. Because like before, it would definitely happen that a bard would give someone bardic inspiration, and then they would forget to use it, or they forget that they had it, or any of those things, right? And now it's up to the bard to kind of more proactively and reactively use that. Uh, and it becomes more of like a bard ability as opposed to like their ability being to pawn stuff off to other people, and then their own class mechanics are basically just I can cast spells. So maybe it's good. Maybe it'll feel good and achieve the same goals as it should. Overall, lots of interesting changes. Nothing super controversial, nothing too crazy. Just lots of very good different things. This kind of is more along the line of what I was expecting with these playtests. Like a bunch of changes that seem weird, cool, maybe different, maybe interesting. Uh, Nothing like majorly game changing, like some of the D20 test stuff and the inspiration stuff that they talked about before. Uh, just like little tweaks and like redesigns for basically fixing the things that were broken, right? Like some of the things were just not in a good spot from the player's handbook, and any like updates that came after it, any errata or stuff that came out after it. And there's a chance for them to go back to the player's handbook and kind of give it a big once over and kind of like fix the things that were broken or didn't work very well, and make sure that classes like all of the classes kind of have stuff that's exciting or that is exciting for them, right? I can't wait to see like Beastmaster Ranger and see what this redesign looks like, because that's been one of the consistent ones for Ranger that's like this doesn't work very well. Now with the chance to go back to the drawing board and like fix it up, I think they're gonna make it work really well. But I think that's pretty much it. This was a pretty long stream. We went over the big PDF, and uh, we'll be probably calling it here. I will also be back to streaming just more regularly on this channel. I want to continue streaming some F1 Manager, maybe play some more different games as well. Um, and then, yeah, as more of the stuff keeps coming out, I'll be sure to hop on and kind of provide my feedback and provide recorded evidence of kind of what what my opinions on these are, as right or wrong as they may be. But that's going to be it for this stream. Thank you all for joining or watching. Um, and yeah, bye.